Monday, April 16th. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Figure Four Podcast. My name is Doug. We took a couple of weeks off, but we're back now, and this week's episode, we're just going to be talking pro wrestling. What's on my mind, what's on Donald's mind. Going to be a great show. Hope y'all enjoy it. Here we go. So WWE is sold. This is where I want to start. They're sold to Endeavor. They merged with the UFC. Endeavor is this new, call them Titan Towers, I guess. They own now 51% of WWE. Vince McMahon and WWE, well, the shareholders, they own 49%. So Endeavor is, they're the big dogs now. It's their way or the highway because they're majority. $8 billion was reported. That's what they almost sold WWF to Saudi for, was $8 billion. They decided not to. That deal never happened. So Endeavor bought WWE for $9.3 billion. Vince McMahon bought WWE from his father, and I think it was 1981, for $1 million.
Yep.
Let that sink in. The profit alone that he's made from WWE just in this sale, that's not counting the money that he's made over the years between merchandise sales, ticket sales, Wrestlemania buyouts, pay-per-view buyouts. The numbers are just mind-boggling. But just think of that. Oh yeah, I paid $1 million for this company in the 80s and just sold it. Now, 51% of it, mind you. 51% for $9.3 billion. Now, I don't know.
Not even the whole thing.
No, it's not even the whole thing. That was for 51%.
No. Yeah.
This dude, Ari Emanuel, he's going to be the CEO of the joint company because they're combined now.
Right.
The actual name of of whatever the name is going to be between UFC, this Endeavor, and WWE, they haven't decided yet. But there's Ari Emanuel. He's going to be the CEO. Vince is still going to be the executive chairman of this new company. Dana White stays president of the UFC. Nick Khan is now the new CEO of this, whatever it's going to be, the whatever this merger is going to be. So now,
right,
Vince is back at the helm. They can say whatever they want. Triple H is head of creative, all that stuff. We talked about this before. WrestleMania, Vince had his fingerprints all over that Brock Lesnar match.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And I'm watching what's going on now over the last couple of weeks. Now, I haven't seen SmackDown yet, but I'm watching Raw, I'm watching SmackDown since WrestleMania. Vince has his claws in this all over again. Now, I'm wondering what's going to happen with Triple H. I mean, he's married to Stephanie. It's his son-in-law. He's still going to try to mentor him. Let's face it, Triple H doesn't need any more mentoring. He was running the company.
Oh my God.
He was running NXT
Absolutely.
And the company at one point. Now what happens with Triple H? I'm going to drop this on you. I just gave you some stats. You know Vince is back in at the helm. How do you think this is going to work between him and Triple H with this new merger with UFC basically running the company and making Vince McMahon the chairman of the board?
Okay, I'm going to go back to WrestleMania. So night one, absolutely. Night one of WrestleMania, that was it for me. Like if they didn't have a night two, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
totally
the same
good.
way. Yep.
Night two, you could that had Vince's fucking pervy hands all over it.
Yes.
And even Monday Night Raw, like the Raw afterwards, Vince was all over that. And I mean, like there's some people that are talking about Seth Rollins, how his segment was cut short, and well, other people were saying that, you know, he was basking in the, the fans were singing his song. He was basking in it for too long. No, That's not even the case. I mean, okay, so Seth Rollins comes out to the ring. He's listening to the fans. He's doing the orchestra, what he normally does. It wasn't drawn out. It wasn't anything like that. Someone comes out from the back and they tell him, "We're cutting you short." Seth Rollins loses his shit. He's not happy about it. Goes back to the dressing room. From what I read online, he left the show completely. He didn't even hang around.
Really?
I'm not a fan of this. Vince, if he's going to have Triple H in charge of stuff, let him run the show. Triple H, how long did it take him to earn the fans back?
Oh, it
I
took a
mean,
damn long time. I even got
it,
away from it for a long, long
yeah,
time. I got out of it. And then when I just happened to turn it on one night and Triple H was, he still had the beard and the long hair and a ponytail, just wearing a suit. Like he was still like pretty big and stuff, like
yeah,
the
yeah,
game. And
yep.
I remember Adrian looking at me and saying, geez, you're watching it again. I said, it's actually getting fun again. It's getting interesting. And this is when he had just started kind of taking the reins a little bit. But yeah, they
Yep.
took a long, long time. And it was because of Triple H that the fans came back.
So the ratings start to go through the roof. Like I think it was like a 60 or 70% increase leading up to WrestleMania, that even TV ratings had started to increase. Arenas are being sold out. Like, storylines are actually good for a change, instead of this a big guy versus a small guy, which is a total Vince sell.
Yeah.
You're looking at matches on both Raw and SmackDown where it's not just a match to have a match. It's like, okay, so this has a little bit of a backstory to it. And then all of a sudden, within 2 nights, I'm talking about night 2 of WrestleMania and Raw, you can totally tell that Vince has his fucking grubby hands all over it.
Yeah. And you called
And
it.
it was absolute shit.
You absolutely called that a couple of weeks ago. You absolutely did
It was
when we were doing our rundown and we were talking about Omos. You called it right there and then.
yeah, it was shit. It was absolute shit. And now, like, you go back to like last Monday night when Cody teamed up with Lesnar. Okay, so Lesnar has been an air quote babyface for a little while.
Yeah.
We'll call him that, because he was going after Roman. And so okay, so he's going to team up with Cody. Okay, so they're getting ready for the match between Roman and, I think it was Solo, maybe. One of the bloodline. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, it was
I
Roman
can't stand.
and Solo.
Yeah. And all of a sudden he turns on Cody. Okay, so what is this? What is the storyline behind this? This has nothing but fucking Vince written all over it. I can't stand it.
I didn't. That surprised me because, okay,
it totally did.
I totally expected Roman to win at WrestleMania and maybe get
Yep.
some return matches with Cody, maybe on house shows or something. Maybe set something up for SummerSlam. That's what I
Right.
was thinking. But with Lesnar's swerve on Cody and leaving him laying, like, I didn't expect it at all. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is he?
Yeah.
Because it didn't make any sense, because as well, it was, as long as Roman Reigns is champion, Brock Lesnar will never get another shot at the WWE title. So
No.
him turning on Cody and now starting a battle with Cody, I didn't expect it. I understand it because Cody's not going to be WWE champion. Lesnar's been kissing babies and tipping his hat. That's not Lesnar. Lesnar is the alpha male of our species. Let's just face it. He's the alpha male of our fucking
Yep.
species. He could walk into this house right now and look at Adrian and say, I'm going to fuck. What am I going to say? Fine, but only for like 5 minutes. Like, what am I going to do? So I kind of understand, because Cody's not getting the title anytime soon. You got to do something with him. But Brock Lesnar's
Right.
going to fucking eat him. Brock Lesnar's going to fuck that man until he loves him. as as disgusting as that sounds, that is what's going to happen. Brock Lesnar is just going to have his way with Cody Rhodes. What is Cody going to do? I'm bigger than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
This matchup,
I mean,
like you said, it's all Vince. And Vince wants Brock to be a bad guy, and I totally agree with that. I completely agree with that. He should be a bad guy. Don't come out tipping your fucking hat. You're not Jim Ross. But the battle with Cody Rhodes makes absolutely no sense to me. There's been too many David and Goliath matches in wrestling, especially with Rey Mysterio. Like, he's fought all the big fucking men. And Bret Hart did it.
Him and Triple H?
Yeah. Or him, Kevin Nash in WCW. Like,
absolutely.
Bret Hart in during his first title run consistently fought guys 7 feet tall and up to 500 pounds. Yeah. Yokozuna, Kevin Nash, Diesel, Scott Hall, like Bam Bam Bigelow. David and Goliath has been done a million times, but this angle with Cody and Brock, I don't get it. I don't get it. Because it doesn't make...
I don't. I really don't.
To the wrestling fans, it doesn't make sense. Because like I said, what's Cody going to do?
It doesn't make any sense. Number one, there's no history between the two. I mean, of course, you got to start off somewhere. I get it. If there was something leading up to this, okay, I can kind of understand. Like, maybe if it was like a Sid Hogan thing, like there was a couple of weeks where there was like you could tell, like, okay, there's something going to happen there. Cody and Brock, it's like, what the fuck what are you reaching for here? Like, this is going way out in left field, especially where you just had Cody for the last 3 months, or at least since the Rumble. It's going to be Cody and Roman. That's what we're like. This is the window that we're looking at.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's closed, and now we're just going to throw Brock in there. Okay. Why don't we just put Cody and, I don't know, Rey Mysterio, or Cody and
Johnny Knoxville.
Exactly. Let's run with that. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Some point between now and whatever the next pay-per-view that there's going to be, that Triple H is going to actually take over control again, because this has nothing but Vince written all over it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that's all that this is. It's nothing but Vince.
Okay, so who do you think overall? Do you think it's a power struggle backstage? Like, who's in charge of creative? Do you think Triple H is coming up with the ideas of what to do, and then Vince is saying, God damn it, we're going to do it like this? I like that idea, but fuck, we're going to take it in this direction. Or is it just Vince saying, no, we're doing this?
See, part of me wants to say that Triple H has his own ideas.
Oh, of course he does.
And like up until Vince came back, he's been doing an amazing job.
But is Vince that final filter now? Like, is Triple H coming up with the ideas, saying, well, Vince, I think we should do this. And then McMahon is saying, God damn, pal, that's not bad, but let's take this and turn it into that. Like, who's going to have the final say? On paper, Triple H is in charge of creative. On paper. With Vince McMahon as the chairman, again, that doesn't mean shit. So do you think it's going to wind up being a power struggle? Like, I think Stephanie saw all this coming, and that's why she left WWE altogether.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because Tara and I were talking about that the other night. We were watching the WWE Network, and it was showing backstage of Mania 38. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie was like meeting all the guys that were going out to the ring, like, savor the moment, enjoy this, have fun with it. And I'm thinking to myself, your father was not very much involved at that time. And then Vince was still in the picture, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then Vince is gone. And then he comes back literally the same fucking day. Stephanie's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's been fun. It's been a slice. Bye. See ya.
I think she knew where it was going to go.
Yeah. And like I'm wondering, I'm like, did she know what was going to happen? Like did she leave because she knew that with Triple H being the head of creative and Vince stepping in, who used to be the head of creative, and I mean Vince was creative. Let's not mince words here. She didn't want to get in between that. And
Well, yeah, I get it. Will she be choosing between her husband and her father?
exactly.
So again, goes back to the question: who's really in control of creative? Do you think it's
I
do you think it's like 60-40, 50-50? Obviously, Vince is going to have the final word. We all know that.
I'm gonna say 80-20 Vince.
Really, that
It's
high?
80. I'm gonna say 80-20 Vince. This is his baby. This is his baby that he bought from his father, and he's not gonna let someone else, even though Triple H has amazing ideas, and we've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen what Triple H has been able to put forward. And Vince is going to be like, "No, God damn it! It needs more tits. It needs more ass. We need
God,
more of this."
God
Like,
damn it, chocolate
like,
titties.
I mean, watching Raw and SmackDown these last 2 weeks, man. Like, it's like you can totally tell. Like, even in the women's matches, it's more, provocative. It's more, let's show more cleavage out there. Let's show more of this. Let's show more of that. It's like
Speaking about
it's
women,
it,
by the way, you called Trish turning heel. Good call on
totally
that. good,
called it.
good one on that one. Now, on that, okay, so we're talking about Vince and Triple H, like how there could be a power struggle there.
Yep.
Now, with this new, with the whatever Endeavor, and Vince only owning 49%, how do you think this is going to work since Vince is now not the majority owner anymore? Endeavor says, God damn it, Vince, we want to do this, or we want to try that. God damn, pal, I don't think I like that. Well, you don't have a choice because we own 51%, and now we tell you what to do. God damn it, you son of a bitch. How is that going to work?
See, I watched that promo where it was him and dude from the I was gonna say UHF, holy fuck, the UFC, and talking about how if there's a problem between the two that they'll work it out and all this kind of stuff. Honestly, man, like I still think even though Vince and the shareholders have 49%, they're still calling the shots there. If there's a problem or if there's an issue with however that they want to run creative, Vince is going to run that.
True
He's
enough.
basically going to. It's Vince McMahon.
He's done it all his life. True enough.
Exactly. He's going to run things the way that he thinks that it should be run, which in recent times, as we've seen, has not been the right way. Yeah, they
He
say that it's
pronouns, pal.
yeah.
He's famous
No
for
kidding.
saying that.
I mean, they talk about how that if there's a problem within the mixture, that they'll work it out. It's not going to be worked out. Vince is going to get his way. It's how it's been. It's how it's going to be.
Now, for the last, I don't know, I think the last year we've been hearing new championship titles are coming in. We don't call it a belt, pal. Belts hold up your pants. These are championship titles. With this new group and the UFC. Now, the UFC, I want to say it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, changed their championships.
Right.
Do we see new championships come into WWE now, or do they just stay status quo and they don't really care? Because we've been hearing for a year now, oh, they're bringing in a new title for this. Oh, there's going to be a new title for that. And for the last year and a half, last year, I've been talking about it, and I look like a tool every time because nothing happened.
with the sale, um, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with with a little bit of the hiring freeze that's going on right now within WWE. Um, I won't be surprised if we don't see any new belts.
Agreed. Yep.
It it's been talked about for a little while now that even before the Usos lost the tag titles to Sammy and um, uh, Owens. I mean, Jesus, I had a Owen Hart brain freeze there for a second. Um, that that they were gonna introduce a new tag team title, not titles, not plural.
Just
That they
one.
were basic, just one tag belt, or well, I guess it would be two tag belts. Um, I haven't heard of anything that's really, I mean, aside from Triple H not really being a fan of the Universal title, um, he was talking about maybe bringing back Big Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's not rumor. Like that's not fiction or anything like that. Like that's been out there for a little bit now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've even heard that.
I won't be surprised if they introduce new tag titles first. I think they want to see what direction that they're going to go in it with, at least in regards to Roman. Now, something about Roman I saw online that if they want him to actually beat Bruno Sammartino's reign, he's going to have to actually hang on to the titles until like 2028.
Oh yeah, well, Bob Backlund too. Bob Backlund was WWE champion for like 7 years or something stupid like that. Like
Whatever it was, something ridiculous.
that's not going to
Um,
happen. Fans will just stop watching. The
no,
WWE will go out of business before that happens.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it was Michael Cole that said, like looking back on like when we were growing up with wrestling, you had a show every week. There was one every week.
Yes.
With there's being so much exposure now, it's like, you've got two shows every week, the odd pay-per-view. Um,
That's not counting
like,
house shows as well.
oh, absolutely. Like you've got one guy holding both belts for this long. It's growing old. And Kurt Angle has even said that too on Instagram. He's like, it's one thing without like the internet and the media exposure and all that kind of stuff where you were maybe getting one or two shows a week. Now you're getting like multiple shows a month plus a pay-per-view.
Yes.
And then you see the same single guy coming out every single week with the belts.
But
Like it's getting old.
but that's the thing too. He's not there every single week. Like between Raw and SmackDown, so you've got 8 shows a month with
Yep.
just Raw and SmackDown combined. He might be on 3 of them, if that. If that, he might be
He's
on
part
3.
time.
Well, and you know what though? He can do that because people have learned to really despise him. He's an attraction now. He's the way Brock Lesnar used to be. He's like a Hogan
Yep.
used to be. You never saw Hogan on
Yeah.
television very much.
Yep.
Like when we were kids, the only time you saw Hulk Hogan on TV was on Saturday night's main event and very, very rarely on WWF Superstars. That was it.
Oh my God.
Other than that,
Very rare.
it was pay per view. And what did they
Yep.
have back in the day when we were kids? There was Wrestlemania. That was it. A couple years later, I think it was, I'm trying to remember which one was first. I think SummerSlam 88 was the very first one.
Yep.
That was the second one.
Yep.
And then the
And
third
then
one
Survivor
was
Series.
Survivor Series. And then the next one was the Royal Rumble. So you didn't see Hogan that much.
Yep.
He was an attraction. Brock Lesnar was an attraction. I think that's the way Roman Reigns is now. He's an attraction.
Yep.
But now, moving on, we've already discussed Vince the Head. We've been there. WrestleMania favorite matches. I have one that sticks out because even Adrian came down. She was writing her paper, and she came down before this match started.
Right.
Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, I think, stole the show. completely stole the show at WrestleMania.
I
I think I enjoyed that match more than any other match on WrestleMania.
I thought that was expected. Uh, Rhea was going to be the powerhouse, and I called that. Like she was going to be, she was going to use her power. Um, Charlotte, and not to take anything away from her, I thought that for her being a mat technician and being a little bit more of a mat wrestler, I thought that she performed really well. Um, to see Rhea come out with the title, I knew. Um, I still think that Charlotte's going to take a little bit of time away from the ring.
I can see that totally.
Uh, I think Rhea's. I think she's going to. I think with Rhea taking the strap, um, I just hope that. What can I say? I just hope that she's not going to like just come out and do mic work. I hope that she's
Yeah.
going to actually like defend the belt.
I think she will. She's see, Charlotte is another one that, like, Charlotte's been wrestling a long time. So Charlotte didn't have to wrestle.
Yep.
Just come out and make appearances. But Rhea being so young, Rhea will be out defending the title. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
Did you see that spot? Adrian and I were both just like, oh. Charlotte did like a backflip, or maybe Rhea threw her. I can't remember. But Charlotte's face like slid across the mat, and when she came up, I think she was missing a layer or two of skin right off the bridge of her nose. I was just like, oh my God, that's
Yep.
gotta hurt. Like, I've gotten my dink cut in my zipper once or twice, and that stung pretty good, but I can't imagine like how that would sting. Like, oh, like she literally lost a layer or two of skin. But that match was like,
Yeah.
it was hard
Yeah.
hitting.
No, I saw that.
That match was hard hitting, and like they were stiff. They were stiff with each other. It was fast paced, and it was high flying too.
Yep.
And I mean, Charlotte's pretty powerful herself. Rhea was the powerhouse, but
Oh, absolutely.
Charlotte's pretty powerful herself too. There was athletic. They outdid some of the guys. I'm sorry, like just as far as stiffness goes and
Oh,
putting on a
dude.
good show. That's why that was my favorite match of WrestleMania, of the whole WrestleMania. That was my favorite match.
Well, and maybe this is part of maybe why Vince had his hands on everything. But like that was supposed to be the main event of night one, not Sammy and Owens versus the Usos. That was supposed to be the main event of night one.
Oh, I never knew that.
And yeah, yeah, that I mean, it was announced like 2 weeks leading up to it. And so I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. This could be like the headline. And and like just watching that match, I'm like, holy fuck, like this is gonna steal the show. But I will say this about if you were behind the scenes, like any of the backstage stuff or anything like that, like when they were interviewing her about this match with Rhea or with Charlotte, she was genuine. Like she wasn't in character, and that's what I loved. That's what I love. Like she was like, Charlotte took me to the table. Like we went at it full tilt. So yeah, basically what, like, I mean, looking at like how Rhea was describing the match, like backstage, how she was so proud about that moment and like talking, like she wasn't in character. Like that I love that. How she was like, my parents are here, uh, you know, coming all the way from Australia, growing up basically in North America, not knowing anything, being afraid of everything, and then developing into the role that she was. And ultimately winning this title,
Almost came
and
off as a
beating
baby
Charlotte.
face.
Like, yeah, yeah, totally. Um, Being a heel, that made her. Um, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I don't think that she needs the Judgment Day. I think that she's going to be able to go off on her own. She's going to stay with the Judgment Day for the time
Yeah.
being. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised at all, like if she ever goes to unify those titles against Bianca Belair. And I mentioned this actually in one of our first WrestleMania previews,
Yes, you did.
that does she try it? She's already tested Bianca the first Raw, I think it was after Mania. She's like, I'm knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Could happen.
You did.
Never
You
know.
called it. And that you know what she'll
Um,
do. Charlotte, that was a battle. Bianca's not Charlotte. As much as I like, excuse me, as much as I like Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley will destroy Bianca Belair when the time comes.
I think so too. Uh, I think like looking at how Mania went, and I mean Bianca had a good match with Asuka. I thought it was a great match.
It
I
was
thought it was
very
a
good.
really good match.
It was. It was really good.
Um, and you would mention this actually probably 2 maybe 3 weeks leading up to WrestleMania. I think her time has come. She basically shows up, she spins her hair, she has the odd match. I I don't see Bianca holding on to that title much longer.
No, she's had it for a
Uh,
year. The time has
uh,
come, and not to take anything away from her. Like, she's good. I like her. She's a great talent and stuff, but her title reign's been, and I said this before, has been kind of lackluster. It's like, I'm not really,
yeah,
like, I find myself skipping her matches now if I have a PVR'd. I skip her matches
yeah,
because it kind of bores me. I don't know what it is, but maybe I mean, if they turn
yeah.
her heel, I think that would be the best thing in the world for her right now, but they won't do that right now. But I think down the road, maybe leading into the Royal Rumble or something like that, especially if she's going to keep battling, because I can see her keep battling with Asuka. If
Yep.
they if they keep down that, I think she's got to turn heel because Asuka is babyface too. But
See, I don't know what to think of Asuka
I think
because
she's more
like,
babyface. The fans are behind her. The fans, and that's who
oh,
decides everything right now is the fans, right? But I think
oh, absolutely.
if they really want to push this, they got to start almost like when Bret Hart turned on Austin and they made Bret Hart a heel at that
Right.
WrestleMania after he had passed out. That's what they got to do with Bianca. They got to turn her heel, and I think this thing can really take off. But I agree with
Yeah.
you. I think it's a matter of time before she drops that title because it's not doing for me personally. I can't speak for everyone, but it's not doing anything for me.
It just feels like they're they're almost like in the corner. They don't know what direction to go with her
Yeah,
in terms of the storyline. So, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, looking back at it, like, and I told you my prediction for WrestleMania was that Bianca was going to beat Asuka. I mean, looking back at it, like maybe she should have dropped the title to Asuka. But at the same time, what direction do you go in with that?
exactly.
I don't see what direction that they can go in with that women's title at this point.
At this point, no, you're going to keep battling with Asuka for a little while,
Yeah,
and then you'll find another maybe Michelle Rodriguez,
maybe.
but or is she on SmackDown? I can't remember.
Raquel, yeah, she's on SmackDown.
She's on
Tag title.
SmackDown. Okay, so it's a matter of time before she battles with Rhea Ripley. That I guarantee you, before Rhea and Bianca get into it, they got to do something with Michelle Rodriguez because she's just too amazing an athlete to keep her tagged up with Liv Morgan. They've got to do something with
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
What did you think of the match at WrestleMania with Dum Dum and Ray?
Um, I thought um, it was what I thought it was going to be. I thought, there was going to be some kind of schmoz that was going to happen. Um, but I mean, I'm going to go back to the Hall of Fame with Dum Dum and Rhea and Priest leaving the ceremony and stuff like. I'm like, okay, this is just playing too much into the storyline. Um, I think it's been playing on for a little bit too long. Um,
I think it's over now
Tara and
because
I were talking
they
tonight.
looked at with what Bad Bunny did at WrestleMania,
Yeah,
and then what
yeah,
happened the next night on Raw, and now next pay per view when they're over at that place. I can't remember where it's at, but Bad Bunny is going to be the host there. And he's going to
yeah.
get involved with Dominic somehow. I think so. They're finally ready to move away from the
Absolutely,
Ray,
absolutely.
from Ray. Like, Daddy can't carry you anymore. Like, you've gained some good experience. He's actually entertaining me as a heel. He's just gotta he's got to be more Eddie. He's got to keep thinking Eddie especially with facial expressions, because he's still like a
Right.
really young looking bit a baby face, but he's coming along. I'm actually impressed with him as a heel, but I want to see now because Bad Bunny impressed
Yeah.
me a couple of years ago at WrestleMania. Bad Bunny can go, and I want to see him and Dominic. You know what? I think he'll kick Dominic's ass. I really, really, really.
See,
Dominic's going to go over, but Bad Bunny with the help of the Judgment Day and Mommy, but Bad Bunny's going to kick his ass, man. I'm telling you. But Dominic's going to go over. I totally expect that.
see, see, Bunny was before I actually got back into it and
Yeah.
back into things. So I don't know much about like his involvement in the in-ring stuff. Looking at Dum Dum, and thank you for again introducing that name. Um, like we were talking this evening, like we were watching the Hall of Fame induction, and like I still think that I I'd like to see some behind the scenes stuff of him and Ray, just to see that he's actually not as much of a cockbag that like the way that he portrays himself to be.
I guarantee you he's not. I
Um,
guarantee you he's not.
like I know it's all part of the script. I get it. It's all writing. It's the storyline. I get it. Um, I totally see the Eddie angle.
Yeah.
And you brought this up. You brought this up. Like, he reminds me of Eddie Guerrero. Like the way that he moves in the ring and the little Eddie shuffle and all that kind of stuff. I can see it. Um, I think it's time to move on from that storyline.
Yeah. They're done with it. I
And I
absolutely.
think, like you said,
It's going to be a battle with Bad Bunny. And I think that's going to go on because the last time, and I know it was before you got into it, but Bad Bunny was around for a month or two. But man, like the training, I'm trying to remember now because it's been a little while. I can't remember if I was impressed with him as much as I was with what's that, Logan. What the hell was his name?
Logan
Logan
Paul.
Paul. I can't remember if I was as impressed as him with him as with Logan Paul, but I do remember being impressed. Like, Bunny put the time in, man. You could tell he was training hard. And I guarantee you, leading up to
Right.
this, he's been training probably the last month and a half or whatever, getting
Okay.
ready, because I guarantee you, him and Dum Dum are going to have a thing, and it's probably going to last a month, maybe two, because I mean, he's still rapping, he's still on tour, he's
Right.
still doing all this stuff, so it's trying to find time. But
Right.
I guarantee you, that's that. Yeah, the Rey Mysterio angle's done. They're moving on from that, and it's going to go on a little while. And you know what? It won't surprise me if they kind of come back. I mean, everything's got to come full circle. But you're right. I think it's over. And they're going to move on. Now, the tag team title match. What did you think of that with the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn?
Oh man. Did not expect that. I did not expect that outcome. I was sure going into that match that Kevin was going to turn on
Me
Sammy
too.
and basically say, "I told you before. I told you before. I don't need your help. I'm fighting my own battles. If you have whatever beef with them, I'm doing my own thing." I was not expecting that win.
I
Happy,
thought
don't
someone
get me
was going to
wrong.
turn on someone. Yeah, I was happy too, but I didn't know who was going to turn on who, but I was positive someone was going to turn on someone.
Absolutely. I was sure it was either going to be Kevin was going to turn on Sammy or Jay was going to turn on Jimmy.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, leading up to the end of that one, I didn't know who was going to. So many like, okay, this is the end. Okay, this is the end. Okay, this is the end. Like, okay, fuck, someone like this is some end this.
It was entertaining. It entertained the
I
hell out of
don't
me.
know. Absolutely, it was an entertaining match. Um, Kept me on the edge of my seat. Um, Now, with the Usos losing those belts and how the last Monday and not necessarily tonight, but last Friday on SmackDown, how things have gone.
Oh, Roman's
Um,
not happy.
Roman is not happy. Storyline wise, he is not happy. Um, Not going to be surprised if one, if not both, of the Usos are booted out. Um, if one is, it's going to be Jay, and then you're going to see Jimmy and maybe Solo tag up.
Possibly.
Maybe Jay goes on his own.
That
I
wouldn't
won't be
surprise me if he
surprised.
went on his own. But it'd be hard to see him without his brother. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible, but I don't know how that's going to work. Like, all factions come to an end, and we're so used to seeing.
except for the four horsemen. Except for the four horsemen.
It's I don't know. It's still it's so up in the air. And again, I'm going to go back to that's why Roman didn't lose the belt to Cody, because where do you go from there if Cody wins the belt? Right? You got some returns with Roman, and then you got to go somewhere else. It's kind of the same situation now. Well, is the bloodline ready to be broken up? I don't know. I think they got to. Again, I'm going to say the landing pad for everything that's going to be new, I think, is going to happen at SummerSlam. I think that's when everything
Right,
implodes. That's what I think. I think it's too
right.
like that whole Sammy in the bloodline thing that ended too quick for me. Like
Yeah,
you could see it slowly building up. I think they could have dragged that out another month, maybe another two. It was just
right.
like, okay, I don't like you anymore. Get out of my sandbox. Fuck off.
Now, what part of that has Vince on it? Because if it was Hunter, okay, he's got X amount of dates planned out. Vince comes in and he's like, "No, I'm going to stick my dick in this, and we're going to go with that."
God
And
damn it. This has been
like,
going on for almost a year. Pull the fucking plug, pal.
right?
Yeah.
Like it just,
I can see that.
like I still think that what Hunter had planned out for the roster on both on on both shows on Raw and SmackDown, I still think as much as of it may have been drawn out, he still had some kind of an end game for those storylines. but then he also had something else lined up, and then Vince just comes in and fucks everything up.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's how I feel.
It's going to be to the detriment of the company because, and you know what? Now again,
Abs
with WWE only owning 49% and Endeavor owning that 51, they're going to, don't think for 1 second. I mean, they paid over $9 billion for this shit.
9 billion.
Tell me they're
Yeah.
not watching the ratings, and they're going to compare them to when Vince came back and when Hunter was running things. And I don't think it'll take them very long. What's this guy's name? That Ari Emanuel, for him to come to Vince and say, you need to back off a little bit because the ratings are dropping. Now it's going to take a little while. And I'm not saying that it's going to tank with Vince coming back in. I'm just saying, I think he's on a short leash. And if things start going kind of rogue, they're going to pull on that chain and say, Hunter, you're doing this. Well, God damn it. Like, and they have to, because Vince has a track record. Vince has a track record of just taking the whole show. And this is coming from Bruce Pritchard. The show was written 6 hours before the show goes on live. Vince says, "Goddamn, pal, this show sucks. Rewrite it." So you have to rewrite a whole show that's been written in the last 5-6 days and rewrite it in 6 hours. It's happened before many, many, many times. But again, him being on a short leash, and he's going to be, if indeed, now we don't know, we're not behind the scenes at WWE, we're speculating, but you can tell, like we talked about that match at WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar and Omos, that's Vince, right? If he's got his claws in certain things, and Endeavor, I don't think he'll put up with that very long if the ratings start slipping.
Now, funny that you mentioned about the writing. So, and I'm not going to bring up storyline here, but looking at tonight, I'm watching SmackDown, and again, I'm not going to drop any spoilers because I know you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Going back to last week, McIntyre was pulled from the roster. It was suspected that he was out due to injury or illness, something like that. This week, it came out that it was actually due to his newest contract that was proposed to him and the direction that they're going with. What's going on with McIntyre? I haven't TV. I haven't seen him. Jesus, I haven't seen McIntyre since WrestleMania. So is he going to jump ship? Because here's the thing. His contract is rumored to be up in late July, early August. AEW has a show coming up in London, England in August.
I don't see him leaving. I don't, because McIntyre is still at that age where, and he's still skillful enough, that dude will always be in some kind of title picture. And the fans just love him. And I think WWE knows that. And it won't surprise me. I mean, again, like everything will happen at SummerSlam. I think as far as Cody, he'll be back in a title picture or whatever. But Drew is always in a title picture, and he is still a draw because he's very athletic for a dude that size. I don't think WWE is going to let him go. He could be injured. Maybe that's why he's not on television. But I mean, who knows? But I just can't see WWE letting him go at this point. I just can't see it. Anything's possible. But if he's still under contract and it's not up until coming on summer, he's not going anywhere. And it's happened in the past where wrestlers, not even sitting out, were hurt. And off 6 months, if Vince McMahon wanted to be a real dickhead, he added that on to your contract so you couldn't go anywhere. It happened with Rey Mysterio. I know that for sure. And I know it's happened to a handful of other wrestlers. Rey Mysterio was out almost a year at one point with an injury. This was going back years ago. And Vince McMahon tacked that year onto his contract. Goddamn, pal, I'm not going to pay you to sit at home. But again, I can't see it. I
know that.
I mean, maybe he is hurt. Maybe he's pissed off. Who knows? Who knows? But I can't see him going. He wouldn't fit in AEW. He's painted with WWE colors so strongly. He wouldn't be a fit in AEW. I don't think.
You know, it's funny because I was watching Dynamite on Wednesday night after I got off work, and like I was watching the show, and you know, MJF came out and did his thing, what MJF does, you know, on the mic, you know, working the mic and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, you know, after reading this about how Drew's contract is coming up and he's not happy with creative and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't see how he fits in. They're showing over in London in August, and his contract's going to be up. And I'm like, I mean, if he was pissed off enough, I can see it. You know, he goes home because they screwed him with Clash of the Castle.
That was just bad booking. That was bad booking altogether. I don't know who wrote that shit, but that was the stupidest booking call one of the stupidest booking calls I've ever seen.
I mean, it's not that I'm not going to mince words. I fucking hate Roman Reigns. I don't like his title reign. And it's not that I wanted to see the title change hands, but I think they missed the boat with, you know, this is Drew's backyard. Like, they totally could have put straps on him.
Well, Drew was champion during COVID. There were no fans around. That was his big time. And I understand the show must go on. I get that. But if they were drawing pretty good numbers with televisions in the audience, give him a shot with real people in the audience. Put those belts on him and see what happens.
Yep.
Because people are screaming for something new.
Yep.
And,
absolutely.
But we'll see what happens come I keep saying SummerSlam. I don't know anything. I don't read the dirt sheets because I don't like knowing shit ahead of time. But I think SummerSlam shit is just going to implode, and it's going to implode around the bloodline. Now that could be, that's just a feeling I got. Now that could be just the bloodline, like splitting up. It could be Roman losing the titles to God knows who, whether it be McIntyre or Cody Rhodes or Brock Lesnar somehow gets back in the title picture. Who knows? But I say SummerSlam, that's when I think the whole company, because especially with this merger, and again, the name of the merger of the company hasn't been released yet. I think that's when SummerSlam, by then they're going to be warmed up. They're going to have more of an idea of what's going on in WWE. And I think SummerSlam is going to be when you're going to see things really start to change in WWE and both of these companies coming together. And then I think with them owning that 51%, they're going to take a little bit more of a role in what actually is going to happen. And you never know, they might bring in some of their own guys, not just Vince McMahon's cronies and his writers that have been there for years. They might send in some of their guys to start taking over this company. Another episode in the books. I apologize, folks, for the bleeping and the cut-ins in and out. We were having a bad internet night, but we got through with the power of technology. Great episode with Donald. We hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Doug. Tune in next week for the Figure Four podcast again. We'll see you next time. I'm out.